Welcome back to the Nonprofits, folks. Today we are talking about an article coming to us from Only Sky, and it's about the He Gets Us marketing campaign. So if you're unfamiliar with this, you know what? Why am I even saying that? They've spent $1 billion pushing this stuff out there. I'm sure our viewers are well aware. You've probably seen the billboard or the cute little TV commercial, or the start of the YouTube video where it just, he gets us, he gets us, Jesus knows what it's like, to not be very wealthy. He gets us, he knows what it's like to be a refugee. He gets us. In case you can't figure out what the point of this marketing campaign is, it's about talking about Jesus to as many people who can possibly hear it in any given time frame. The funny thing about it is, despite what the founders and people who run this campaign say, there really doesn't seem to be any value that it's been adding. There doesn't seem to be anybody out there who's, become more faithful or just completely converted to Christianity. So yeah, that's kind of what this article goes in depth about. And let's open it up. Kelley, what did you think about this article?
Well, first, I wasn't expecting to read a short novella this week, but,
it's long.
But it was an interesting one. I'll give it that. It was the first thing that hit me, and I remember what the source. It was a really biased article. We're going to be biased in our coverage, so I don't even know why that's a thing. But to me, it just seemed like this big giant advertising campaign. One that not only tries to convince non-Christians that Christians are people just like you and Jesus was just like you and you really should join us. But at the same time, it looked like it was also trying to convince current Christians to go out and spread the same message a little bit more. Hey, you got to go out and convince people Jesus is just like us, So, but as you were saying, it doesn't appear to have done anything. I mean, there was never any stated goals to the campaign or anything. So I'm not even sure what they were trying to do with it. It's kind of a really weird off the wall thing. Phoebe, you got anything you want to throw in about it?
Never in my life have I ever seen somebody go and take from the Jehovah's Witness playbook. Yes, go and spread the message. Go out, tell your fellow man that they need to read the good book and they need to hear the words of Jesus. And it actually worked. No one has ever gone, those cart-wielding, door-knocking suit children are gonna get me to go to church and, give up on my, freedoms and stuff. No one's ever said that. And this is probably the first time someone's gone, Jehovah's Witnesses. They're doing it right, God blimey. Wow. Let's do what they do. I've never in my life ever think that somebody went, Jehovah's Witnesses doing it well, They've got 2/3 of their children that are born into the religion and leaving it. But they're knocking on doors and getting recruits and stuff. They must be doing something right. Helen, when was the last time a Jehovah's Witness knocked on your door?
Not in a while, because I have a plaque on my door that says that no proselytizing. Anyone that violates this law will be sacrificed to Cthulhu.
So, that'll do it.
Yeah, so I don't get knocked down anymore. So when I was reading over this, I was thinking about because I had just seen the Hillsong documentary about them pushing this ad campaign about to get absorb millennials and younger people into the church, but it's not working, because guess what? As this generation keeps growing up and they're teaching their kids, and they're going to grow up, that they're becoming less and less religious. They're like, you are not progressing with the rest of the world. And so basically, and who does this appeal to? The only people this appeals to are people that are already a part of a religion and are faithful. This is not doing anything to me, and I also too I doubt he gets queer people.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It
I
very
doubt he gets people that has autism or I'm just saying.
yeah. It very much seems to me like more than anything, this is a campaign focused at wealthy Christians, like people who are already very much in the faith, people who maybe pew sitters, as they call them, right?
Pew warmers.
Pew warmers. Thank you. So you're here, and like you technically follow Jesus, but you don't really do that much. So here's a great way to do that: give to our campaign, because look at all the great work that we're obviously doing. Again, which is why it's very, very much worth reading this article, no matter how long it is, because there is a moment where our wonderful author gives us just this incredible breakdown of the search results, right? For things like Jesus and He Gets Us. And y'all, they are paltry. I mean, they are just paltry. For $1 billion that you're spending, you can't get people to just type it into Google. I mean, that is outright a failure, in my opinion. But I did want to touch on this real quick, just because I thought it was funny, because there's a lot of really great stuff in this article, y'all. There is actually a website that they talk about for He Gets Us. And apparently you can go to the website and then tell them that you did good deeds for Jesus, and then they will send you wristbands or t-shirts or books or whatever. But apparently there's no like criteria for checking. Like,
is it show and tell time? Is it show and tell time? Is it show and tell? Come on.
I desperately wanted to get one, you guys, but I was deeply concerned about them having my personal information. So not at this time, but hopefully in the future I can come on with just wristband after. Kelley,
it is a bit of a. It's how can I say it? It's like someone's walked into a bank, pulled down, a balaclava, and gone, "Yeah, come along, I'm doing things." And then they're gone, "Hang on a minute, what on earth are you doing? What on earth are you doing around here?" Because it's $1 billion, apparently, $1 billion. I mean, it ain't going into the overarching He Gets Us campaign or anything like that. What's actually happening here is that there's a bit of a bait and switch going on here. It's actually not going into this campaign. It's actually, sliding its way, sliding itself. It's going to park itself quite nicely under the banner of campaigning for what we believe in, to hate those people that we don't like, so that we can consolidate our power, so that we can continue to hate those people, so we can get more money from you, so that you can see that we're doing more things, so that we can get more money by telling you that you need to help us to fight the actual good fight, so that we can hate on more people, so that we can consolidate power, so we can get this vicious cycle that keeps going round and round and round and round. And one of my favorite people ever in the world of fiction said the following: somebody needs some therapy around here, because someone said that we mean soft on crime, soft on drugs, soft on communism, and soft on defense, soft on the causes of crime, and we're going to tax you back to the Stone Age because people shouldn't have to work a day if they don't want to. And instead of going, "Excuse me, you reactionary, right-wing, xenophobic, homophobic, anti-education, anti-choice, pro-gun, leave it to Beaver, back to the 50s," we all seem to have cowered in the corner and gone, "Please, leave me alone. Don't hurt me." When we should be going, "Follow the money. Follow the sodding money, people. The money isn't going in this campaign. These evangelicals are being told it's going into this campaign, but it's just not. It's just not, is it, Kelley?
No, it seems like it didn't, as Sar was saying, it's pretty easy to get, there's not any oversight on getting all these little pieces of swag. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of oversight on where the money was being given to, too. It was just like, "Oh, I'm going to tell a bunch of people in my neighborhood that Jesus is just like them. Okay, here's 10 grand. So it's like $1 billion worth of money, and there just doesn't seem to be any oversight to it. It just seems to be a bunch of, I hate to say it, a bunch of preachers lining their pockets with a little bit of extra cash.
Yeah.
Saying isn't so.
Yeah.
I
never do
would
that.
love to say it wasn't so. I would love to, but churches don't have to open up their books like other nonprofits do. So we'll never, ever know. We'll never know. But one of the things that is a salient point brought up in the article about that $1 billion, at least it's not being wasted on other, they wouldn't consider it wasted. We would on other things. That $1 billion didn't go to oppose LGBTQ rights. It didn't go to the anti-freedom, anti-abortion advocates. It didn't go to help pass draconian, out-of-date, bigoted laws. So, as far as I'm concerned, hey, let them spend this huge sum of money on a seemingly useless and, quite frankly, stupid campaign. Let them keep doing it. I'm all for it.
Buy more Super Bowl ad time.
Yeah.
That ain't cheap.
Yeah. Spend your money there instead of trying to pass laws. I don't know.
I almost want to write them a letter and tell them how much it changed my life and what a great program it is. And you should expand on it. Keep spending more, put more money into it. But I have a moral system, so I won't do that. I can't take advantage of people, unlike the organizers of this freaking campaign.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue, Kelley, because this article itself is titled "Will Evangelicals Be Fooled by the He Gets Us campaign?" And I think what you just touched on is a really good piece of it, because it, again, looking at the metrics, it doesn't seem like non-Christians are really taking up this message. Right. It doesn't seem like Muslims or Hindus or atheists are just suddenly just super interested in Jesus and just like forgetting about all the bad stuff that religion has done forever. Like, it doesn't seem to be the case. So the question then comes to, well, are the people that this message is for, are the evangelicals believing this message? Do you think more evangelicals agree with this presentation of Christ in these campaigns, or do you think the goal, like, do Christians already agree with this message, or are people switching over and saying like, well, I do believe in Christ, but I didn't think of Christ like that. Okay, that's cool. What do you think on that, Phoebe?
I feel like I should be sitting under Christ the Redeemer and redeeming myself from all the things that I have done wrong in my life, because I don't feel like I'm just doing something wrong here. I must be. So many of us must be doing something wrong. If this is how people can make money in this day and age, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. And we need to be looking at this for what it is. Yes, okay, it's a artsy-fartsy campaign, but it's keeping people employed to do what is effectively nothing. In reality, it's just, let's buy a bit of ad time here, put a billboard up here. Doesn't really mean anything, but, I've got a job now. Woo, make work jobs through the church. It's just a bit, really? Just a bit where I feel like I'm missing out. I missed out on, tax exemptions. I missed out on, an easy life, all that thing,
That pesky conscience. So
that
pesky.
pesky free thought that I've got.
Yeah. Pesky.
Yeah. Wanting the truth, unfortunately, requires that you have to sit out from some seemingly fun activities. But what do you think on this, Helen? Do you think that evangelicals are getting behind this campaign message, or were they already there? I mean, how do you think this is affecting them?
I think that the old, like, fire and brimstone idea of heaven and hell isn't appealing to modern sensibilities. And I think that because there is more rhetoric around skepticism and free thinking and secular humanism, they have to be, you know what, like, we'll make these evangelicals feel really good about loving Jesus because he gets everybody, and you'll get people too, and you'll open your heart to your fellow human beings, because they hear the secularist humanist argument and they're like, and then they have to push against that, because if they're not filling out the pews and giving them the money, what they gonna do? And it just it boggles my mind. There was $1 billion to spend on this. Do you know how many children could have been fed with $1 billion?
Yeah. Could have done a lot of good in the world, but
Yeah.
I guess
Yes.
this is more important. What do you
Yeah.
think about all this, Kelley?
It did do a lot of good. It made a whole bunch of Christians really realize that Jesus is their buddy. It was Buddy Christ, like from the movie. You know, that's it.
That's right. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's Buddy
Got me there.
Christ. You know, so yeah, it seemed to me like in a way, it was a great campaign for them to reinforce what they already believed, which is why it was so easy for them to get the money, right? And then you talk about Helen, you bring up a good point. That money could have gone to do really good, but really, when has church money ever really gone to feed children? I mean, I know you see sometimes it happens, but I mean, there's a lot of hungry children out there, and there's a lot of money in a lot of churches, and it ain't helping those children out. And I think we all know that. You know, every time you see a church feeding children, it's almost like a token thing so that it looks good, but the problem could be solved with a lot of the money, and they're just not doing it. So, and I don't want to say that they should have to be responsible for it, but if they're going to preach kindness and changing the world all for the better, actually start doing it instead of making more commercials about how Jesus is your buddy.
Man, I think that's a really, really good point. So what about, I know we're all nonprofits here, but what about maybe doing a little bit of a prediction? What do we think, guys? Do we think that this campaign is just going to peter out? Like we're not going to hear about it in 6 months? Or do we think it's just going to like ramp the freak up and by the end of 2023, there'll just be billboards everywhere? What do you think, Phoebe?
It's Peter Popov style nonsense coming through again. Peter Popov and his seed money. Peter Popov running around again. You'll have mega pastors running around because it's an easy way to get the greenback. It's just so easy. Here is a large check. That'll do. Here's another large check. That'll do. Oh, here's a third one, and that'll do nicely as well. So it's not going anywhere. The campaign may be complete utter horse manure. It may be, dreamt up out of the stinking vagina of somebody that, has nothing better to think about. But, it's just a load of rubbish what the actual campaign is, and that's just irrelevant here. It's the fact that, George Washington is landing squarely on a green piece of paper in front of you and going, yeah, that's quite nice. How wonderful. I've got a large stack of these now. This must be working. Let's keep doing that.
Helen, what do you think?
Because we're getting close to an election year, and I just know the Christian right. I just know them. I bet we're gonna see more of a push because it's like, basically they're gonna be line like, vote for Jesus. Your vote is your vote for Jesus, and he gets you. And they'll come, and the two messages will be all flim flam in these people's heads, and they will equate the campaign with voting for Jesus, voting the person that's closer to their God, or whatever it is. And I can see them to get more of those donations. And it's like, well, we put $1 billion into it, we're going to get our money's worth. Especially if we're moving into an election year. I can just see it happen because it's the same playbook all the time.
Yeah. What do you think, Kelley? Is this going to be something that's we're just never going to see the end of, or will this be gone by the next nonprofits episode?
No, it won't be gone by the next nonprofits episode, unfortunately. But now where I live, I'm out in the rural areas, and I don't have those billboards here, so they do have some room to expand. And they probably will. But, human beings are fickle. We tend to follow fads. We don't stick with stuff. And I think you'll probably see it die out in 2-3 years, just on a realistic level. It will probably expand for another 6 months to a year and then start dying off after that. So,
yeah. I think this article does a really good job of showcasing how this campaign currently is just not successful. And I don't think any of that is going to change anytime soon. So I think that's great, for where I sit. If evangelicals want to spend $1 billion, wasting it on messages to their own people, I'm not upset with that. So, but I think that's it for today. But as always, folks, if you want to hear more from us, click the link above.